somehow.
Okay, yeah, just stay with me. There you have it. That's from Hoshiyarpur, where you can see that the drone is lying in a field amid trees. You can see that it is almost completely intact. From just a reference check of the teams who are doing the analysis of that drone, it's about 7 or 8 feet long. So whether it was a reconnaissance drone or it was actually carrying munitions, I can't tell. I'm assuming reconnaissance, which is why it is lying there intact, probably taken out because of radio jamming. So it is simply just flopped out of the sky because of radio jamming. General Mathur, finish your point, then I want to rope in the others. Yes.
If it was carrying explosive, it would have also got destroyed.
Yeah, it would have blown up on impact. Yes. So the assumption is probably a reconnaissance drone.
It's a
now the question is, why would the Pakistanis send several hundred reconnaissance drones? And the answer to that is, one, that their ability on attack drones is not as extensive as ours, which is a reasonable fact. Number two, as we've already mentioned, they were using these recce drones for two purposes. One is to try to find holes in your electronic fence, and number two, to gain some real-time data, because our abilities in space, in satellite technology, I won't say far exceed, they are completely literally in a different orbit compared to the Pakistanis. So they do need or attempt to need some sort of intelligence on what is going on. So they're hoping that, listen, we'll try out where the gaps are so that we can potentially exploit those gaps next night, and we will get some deployment data from these drones, and that's what they have calculated last night. That calculation, of course, has gone awry. Okay, now just General Mathur wants to make a quick comment, then I want to get in the others. Yes.
One line, Rishabh. Also, they are looking at what happens is the holding formations, which are the defensive formations, they are already there. It is the reserve formations of Indian Army which they were probably looking at from those reconnaissance drones, because that makes all the difference, that how quickly the reaction in case of a ground escalation can come in from there.
Okay, I promise you, India's reaction capabilities are now unknown. Honestly, I don't know them. Honestly, General Mathur also now doesn't know them. Gone are the days where you take weeks and months to mobilize. I don't know how effective our cold start doctrine implementation is. I don't know. I am expecting to be surprised, just like we Pakistanis are going to be surprised. What does cold start mean? Cold start means that you don't need to do graded mobilization. You can go from your reserve headquarters straight to the front and start fighting. That's the theory. Hopefully the practice will not be visible because it doesn't go that far.
I think we can leave it at that.
Yes.
What you've said is...
Yes, that's it. And that's it. I don't know. And I don't know. Nobody knows. I have no risk of relieving any information other than the static fact that India has been working. And let the Pakistanis then sweat, because they will not get... You know what would have happened 30, 40, 50 years ago? That weeks before, you would have had public mobilization orders. And you would have seen armed troops and carriers moving all over the country. Special troop trains would be taking place. Those days are now gone. That gives you the element of speed and surprise. That's why this concept exists. Yes, sir. Yes.
One last line before you can get others in. One last line. The current leadership of the military, all the three services, is extraordinarily capable, and they have the entire lot of plans in place, and they will execute it. They have shown it to you in the last 3 days, and they will keep showing it to you.
Okay, so if you want an overall assessment, ladies and gentlemen, of how day 2 is going, you have an excellent civilian response, very disciplined, and I am genuinely, pleasantly, I would want to use the word overjoyed. I was really concerned last night that, listen, the lights are off. It can cause, we are human beings. It is, you can panic. Okay, you're stuck in a dark room. You're not used to this. I remember, I am the last generation that remembers normal power backlog. We are a power surplus country. Buildings have 24/7 electricity. The places and roads and highways are lit up like Christmas trees. So I was generally worried that if your people in their houses are seeing explosions, and you can understand the human stress of this, regardless of whether it's a just fight that we are undertaking. Okay, stay with me. Now that we've discovered and discussed the operational aspects that are indicating that other than in Jammu and Kashmir, where we've had fatalities both in the armed forces, the number so far is unspecified, and we've had civilian casualties, at least 16, probably a bit more than that now. But beyond that, from Pathankot all the way up till Jaisalmer, going down into Kutch, there are no reports of a single civilian who's got even a scratch. And that's the report card on last night's enemy activity. That's the good news. The civilian response has been excellent. The air defense response has been on point. Now let's pick up the larger question here, and I want to discuss with Sharad Kohli and Ambassador Mukherjee the IMF. Ambassador Mukherjee, let me start with you. Now, I've been given to understand, and I'm inclined to believe it, that communications to all the voting nations or voting blocs in the IMF, which has a very, very complicated structure, has already been made. India will be making its position clear, and we are in the midst of hostilities which no one can deny, in the aftermath of a terror attack which no one can deny. Now, the Americans hold 16% of the vote in the IMF. They are generally the deciding factor in what passes and doesn't pass. This $1.3 billion is crucially important to the Pakistanis. Is it reasonable to suppose, ma'am, that if they got the money, that a certain significant percentage of it would actually be diverted to wage war against India?
But definitely. And that is why, and of course, Dr. Kohli knows better than me, but I do believe that the timing of this meeting is very crucial for India and very unfortunate for Pakistan, because both in World Bank and in IMF, the rules for giving loans, such large loans, which are meant for specific purposes and which come with strings. It doesn't come, it's not like handing over a birthday present to your child. It comes with specific strings which are very, very stringent. And there is no question of this money going on an ongoing war or on military defense. It is supposed to be meant for bailing a country out of bankruptcy so as to save the population from hunger, from famine, etc. Therefore, the 16% US, this is a kind of weighted voting, which in fact we have taken up time and again, because it actually doesn't demonstrate the present economic strength of India.
Okay, all right, ma'am. I want to pick up on this because Pakistan has 5 sources of funding, the five people or entities that keep them afloat. One is the IMF, and the IMF quite essentially means, I'm not saying it's US control, but it is still reflecting a Bretton Woods system that is dominated by 4 or 5 the Western powers. So if the IMF provides a loan, that's roughly a decision that is being taken by the Americans, which have 16.5, 17% of the vote, the British, which have 4-5% of the vote. The Chinese only control 5 or 6% of the vote. The Indians control about 3.5, 4% of the vote in the IMF. So the funding from the West comes via the IMF / the World Bank. The World Bank president, of course, is Mr. Bagga, who happens to be in Lucknow as we speak. The third is the Saudis, the fourth is the Chinese, and the fifth used to be the Emiratis. Now let's take it. We've discussed the IMF. What about the World Bank?
World Bank funding is also very much part, as you rightly said, of the Bretton Woods institutions, but it comes with very stringent rules attached. So it's not so simple that you try to pretend that you are wanting to develop your country's infrastructure and agriculture and what have you, and at the same time you are actually waging, escalating a war with your neighbor, which you are responsible for because you began it in the first place by your completely unprovoked action in Pahalgam. So
okay.
I would say it will go badly.
Okay. Saudis, ma'am. What will the Saudis do?
The Saudi Deputy Minister of State, as we speak, is in Delhi, like the Iranian Foreign Minister. And the Emiratis, as you rightly pointed out, the Emiratis have actually a completely different relationship with this government led by Prime Minister Modi from the past. So I would really say that their real trusted source of funding is the Chinese. But it's very interesting that the Chinese have always given loans